The helmet was one I wore on my last Air Force active duty tour. So this was the set of photos we always gravitate to. When I look at these walls, I'm drawn immediately to the corner which has a picture of my dad in his naval officer uniform and my brother in his naval officer uniform. Seeing people I loved and respected devoting time to service outside of the family made a big impression on me. I'm the oldest of 9. I think it was a combination of being in a large family. My dad had served during Korea, but not in Korea, in the Navy. Mr. Krause, my godfather, had served in Korea in the Army. Mrs. Krause, my mom, knowing that they were taking food to places not in our neighborhood, seeing that certainly planted in me a sense that if you have something to offer, you have an obligation and you should find a joy and a reward in providing that service to something higher than you.
So we're 6 years apart, and all I ever knew about Stephen was that's what he wanted to do. To serve, serve the country, and he did it so well.
My sense has always been when something happens, I gotta go.
Just 2 hours ago, Allied air forces began an attack on military targets in Iraq and Kuwait.
Desert Storm worked out because I was on active duty and the Navy gave me an opportunity I gotta go.
New at midday, sailors deployed from Naval Station Norfolk this morning.
I started in jets.
Next up, the A-6 Intruders.
I was flying A-6 Intruders, USS America. I was an East Coast carrier, East Coast Air Wing, and then I gotta go repeats.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq.
The Navy didn't have the need for reservist call-up of aviators. Air Force Reserve said, we're taking people. So I put my papers in to transfer Navy Reserve to Air Force Reserve at the Milwaukee Reserve C-130 unit. I was deployed. I was flying as a C-130 Navigator.
Go.
One of the frequent stops was Baghdad. Baghdad was still under short-range missile threat.
At about 5:30 in the morning, there was a surface-to-air missile attack on a C-141 aircraft that was departing the Baghdad International Airport.
So one of the ways to avoid that is you go up very high over Baghdad Airport and spiral down quickly. By doing that, it makes it much harder for somebody with a handheld missile to get a shot at you. The Navigator would typically stand up in the cockpit while this was happening because it was much easier to see the smoke trail off of a missile. And then I also had control of the defensive system. So if I saw a missile, I would be in a position to put out defensive measures to decoy the missile away from the airplane. And I can remember during one of those spiral downs, I had a lot of trouble standing. And I just remember legs shaking, couldn't stand up, didn't want to say over the radio, hey guys, I'm having a problem, because we needed to get the plane safely on the ground. I just had no idea what was happening. We got down, I got my seat and sat there for the whole time on the ground, hoping this would pass. Went and saw the flight surgeon, said, something's not right. And his initial thought was, this looks a lot like MS. He says, no more flying, we'll sort this out. And that's when the whole journey that led to what it ultimately turned out to be, which was vaccine reaction to anthrax. It was first disbelief, and then denial, and then I think the next one's angry. I got to angry at a year. So one of the symptoms of the medical problems was trouble walking, loss of balance, and a real problem going upstairs.
He keeps everything close to the shield. He's a stoic, the most stoic person I know. He'll be in so much pain, but he never will tell you, will never show you. He just does what he needs to do.
I looked at myself every morning and said, how can I get through this even though I can't do what I planned, trained, expected to be doing without letting anybody down in this new situation I'm in? The anger came back in a different form, and it was the result of enough time in VA waiting rooms, seeing kids that I knew were veterans not getting respect, and then talking to them, realizing they weren't getting the service they should be getting. So my GI Bill was running out. It was use or lose. At the time, and this was somewhat naive, I thought, I'm going to go to law school, and I'm going to go offer veterans legal services to go after whatever bureaucracy is giving them the most grief.
It amazes me that he looks beyond himself all the time. Like, you know, some people could be in for their personal gain. I don't think he ever thought of it that way. He always thought, okay, if I get this law degree, what can I do with it? And how can I help these veterans? Because he's seen so many of them not get what they deserve, not understand what they deserve. He knows that he can be that advocate.
We're not doing what we ought to be doing for our veterans until our veterans have the same medical care, same services, same benefits as a congressman.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome family, friends, and especially Marquette University's class of 2019.
So I graduated from Marquette University Law School May of 19. I start with a firm that will give me a very generous number of pro bono hours to go back and do what I was doing.
I'm so proud of him. Like, for him to finish law school, I don't know how he did it, because he was in pain every day.
You know, every VA has this quote from Abraham Lincoln about taking care of the widow and the orphan of the veteran. We're not there. Until we take that seriously as a government and a nation, you know, that would be my goal. One day my hope is that next to the helmet, and maybe in all of the mission barbecues, is the first page of a signed law that gives our veterans the highest place in our society for care and support based on their service to the country.